Today, we're going to be talking about performing a personal SWOT analysis. So, if you're not familiar, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, SWOT analysis are typically used by businesses. However, today I really want to encourage you to consider performing a personal SWOT analysis. The purpose is for you to be able to identify your own strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and not just looking at it for a project or an overall business plan, but you as an individual want to see it and be able to evaluate your own personal and professional goals. It can be helpful if you're currently considering changing careers or the job that you're looking for, or even if you're just wanting to kind of take a look at if there's any new opportunities that are out there and available. But a SWOT analysis is an extremely powerful business tool that will be a very valuable exercise for us on today. So let's dive in. In a SWOT analysis, you are essentially assessing yourself. And you're kind of getting really into the details of each of those various categories. You want to identify the internal factors. So the internal factors would be your strengths or your weaknesses. They're kind of just being able to determine those things that are within you. But then we're also going to look at external factors like the opportunities that might be around you or in your industry. And then, of course, if there's any threats that you need to try to plan for or prepare for. Now, we're going to start internal and work our way to the external. So let's start with identifying strengths and weaknesses. Now, I encourage you to analyze your strengths first. For starters, it's always great to start on a positive note. But more importantly, it's going to allow you to determine a solid baseline for success versus failure. And that'll kind of help you to identify your weaknesses later. So for strengths, your strengths are typically those internal initiatives where you are really performing well. So think about your strengths as any relevant qualifications. Maybe it's certain skills or abilities, talents, gifts that you have. It could even be your formal education. It could be relevant work experiences. If you have attained any specific certifications or official recognitions, this will be a perfect area for you to jot that down. Any relevant or useful trainings. You can also ask yourself as you are trying to identify your strengths, what are the things I do well? Or even better, what are the things that I am the best? Think about those things that are unique to you. Maybe it's your certain experiences or your varied work history. What are those things that you possess and you can bring to the marketplace? Giving you just another example. So say, for instance, if you're an accountant, you could list your CPA, Certified Public Accountant credentials, as one of your strengths. Or if you have worked with projects and you have been able to attain your project management professional or PMP, or maybe you're a Six Sigma, those are the types of things that you can kind of jot down as your strengths. We'll now move to weaknesses. Now, as you are identifying your weaknesses, think of these as areas that need improvement. So it's imperative that you're honest and objective. The key is for you to be aware of where your shortcomings are, because that's how you're able to put together a logical plan of attack to see to it that you reach improvement. So certain questions you could ask yourself when trying to determine or identify your weaknesses, or what goals or initiatives would I consider underperforming right now? And then think about why. Why are they underperforming? What are the things that could be improved? Maybe it's certain skills that you could improve. Maybe it's your business acumen overall. What are those areas that you would like to improve? Even think about how you would rank yourself if you were to compare yourself to coworkers or maybe even competitors. And remember, weaknesses could even be the factors that could possibly impede your productivity. So, say, for instance, if you struggle with time management, then that is an area for improvement. We've looked internally at our strengths and weaknesses, but we're now going to move to the external factors, to opportunities. So when you think of opportunities, these should be external things. These are external possibilities where it's an area that you might be able to reach a stronger competitive position. Or maybe it's something that just is going to benefit you, either benefit your situation or just benefits you as a professional. It could be resources that you have at your disposal. Maybe it's even certain market trends that just happen to support your current professional journey. But some potential questions you could ask as you're identifying your opportunities are, what are those resources that I can use that'll improve my weaknesses? Are there any current gaps in my performance or in my level of service? That could help you flush out certain opportunities. Maybe even just taking the time to think about your business goals for the year and then look at it through that lens of where are the opportunities here. So giving you just another example, let's say you are a data scientist and you work with AI on a regular basis. You could see your opportunities as kind of highlighting the fact that your work experience and your technical knowledge of AI is in high demand right now, which it definitely is. But then you could see an opportunity as maybe you want to do some part-time consulting on the side. So take the time to identify all of the opportunities that currently you are aware of. And then lastly, we're going to touch on identifying the threats. Think of threats as any factors that may arise from either a situation or even just the job market as a whole, but it's basically something that could put you at a disadvantage. It basically is an item that you want to address and possibly prevent. And then if you cannot prevent it, you for sure want to prepare for it. Again, threats are going to be external. They're typically items that you don't have a lot of control over. But do remember, it's important that you identify them because threats are what typically causes us problems. A threat could be anything from a global pandemic, which we all experienced recently, even just maybe it's a change in the competitive landscape for your industry. Here's some questions you can ponder when identifying your threats. What are the changes in your industry that could cause some concern? Are there any new disruptors that could hit the market and impact you as an individual? How are you performing when being ranked, if your company does that? So kind of comparing yourself. Am I being outperformed by my coworkers or the members of my team? Other examples are maybe you're in a small job market, or maybe there's just a very low earning potential. It could even be a potential company reorganization, or maybe even pending layoff. But you want to highlight all of those items that you are aware of, whether they are immediately tangible or even if it's just a possibility. Highlight those as potential threats. So now that you've had the opportunity to identify all of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, it's now time for you to review your analysis and compare all of the sections side by side. You want to evaluate whether or not your opportunities and your strengths are able to help you overcome any threats or weaknesses that you've identified. And if you feel that your threats and weaknesses dominate, then it's imperative that you start putting together strategic plans in place to address them. But this is a very helpful activity because performing your SWOT analysis is going to help you to accelerate your personal development. It's going to allow you to make the effective strategies for you to attain your career goals. And just bear in mind, some of the times that you can think about performing and kind of just going through the process again, it doesn't necessarily have to be fully in depth and in as much detail, but I would encourage you to perform a SWOT analysis anytime you're thinking about a career change. If you just want to identify your opportunities for growth or improvement on a personal or individual level, if you are preparing for an interview, being able to go through this exercise is going to help you to present your strengths and weaknesses properly. And then lastly, if you ever were to decide to want to start your own independent business, it's definitely helpful to perform a SWOT analysis prior to starting those types of initiatives. I hope you've gotten a lot of value. Have a great day.